So, are vehicle headlights getting brighter, or is it just me? They are, right? It seems like they're becoming blinding in their intensity, and truth is, I am not a fan of oncoming traffic these days. There are moments when I feel like I need sunglasses just to drive around at night. But I will say this, when I am out driving someplace truly dark, I really can see far more than I ever could before. Years and years ago, you'll have to ask Kevin exactly when. He's in charge of that kind of data at our house. But I'm guessing it was like 1978 or 1979, something like that.
1980. 81.
Sold to 1980 up in the crow's nest. I told you, he's the one who knows. We were driving home from the St. Paul Rodeo back to the Woodburn area. And if you've ever been out there, you know that we were on some pretty back lane country roads that most civilized people would describe as the middle of nowhere, right? We were driving a friend and her parents who were visiting from Detroit, Michigan. They were city folk. The middle of nowhere was not a familiar or comforting concept to them at all. It was late, and it was a moonless night. To say that it was dark is a bit of an understatement. No moon, no street lights. House lights were few and far between and typically set way back. The only illumination came from those old-fashioned low-light headlights that barely pushed the darkness to the side of the road. You remember those. Those city folks were entirely out of their element. The mother peered anxiously out the window and kept repeating in this trembling voice that was a dead giveaway for her fear, "It's so dark out there. God, it's so dark out there." And it was. It truly was dark. I think about that night just about every year this time of year, because we've already passed the shortest day of the year, the solstice, right? Which means, whether we notice it or not, the light is coming back. Not dramatically, not in a way that makes us say, oh, well, okay, now everything's okay. We're back to normal now. Not like switching on your high beams when you're out in the middle of nowhere. It comes back the way God so often works, slowly. Slowly enough that you have to trust that it's happening. That's true astronomically, and it's also true spiritually. You don't wake up the day after solstice just flooded with sunshine. You don't suddenly feel warmer or lighter. You need charts, or patience, or faith. And yet the truth remains. The light is returning. That is what reminds me. It reminds me of the light that John is talking about in today's gospel. The gospel according to John, whose identity is still just a bit of a mystery to scholars, because you know what? They're going to argue over every little thing, so we just won't worry about it. But I like to call him John not the Baptist to make it clear, just to keep things straight, right? Anyway, the Gospel of John, not the Baptist, raises up John the Baptist as a messenger, a witness to the greatness and the goodness of God. John the Baptist makes clear that a light is surely coming into our darkness, and that he himself is not that light, but he has been put on this earth to point out the true light. We might say that John reflects the light that is coming from Christ to us. By the way, this is not some cozy Christmas card light. This is not twinkle light. This is creation level light. The light that was there at the beginning. The light that shines whether it's welcomed or not. The light that persists even when people don't recognize it or understand it or want it. The light shines in the darkness, John tells us, and the darkness did not overcome it. Notice what John does not say there. He does not say that the darkness immediately vanished. He does not say that there was no resistance. He did not say that the world suddenly became easy or safe or bright. He says the light shines, present tense, ongoing, steady, persistent. And then this line tucked kind of quietly in among this incredibly poetic reading. The true light, which enlightens everyone, was coming into the world. Not seizing the world by force, not imposing itself as a spectacle, just coming, like the lengthening of days, like a barely noticeable shift that over time changes everything. Isaiah gives us another way to imagine this light, not something distant or abstract, but as something intimate and tangible. He has clothed me with the garments of salvation, Isaiah writes. He has covered me with a robe of righteousness. Light is not just something we admire from afar. It's something we wear. It's something God drapes over us before we even think to ask for it, before we're ready, and certainly before we feel worthy. God wraps us in light the way a parent wraps a child in a coat before sending them out into the cold. And Isaiah doesn't stop there. He turns outward and he says, "You shall be a crown of beauty in the hand of the Lord," which tells us something important. Light is never meant to stop with us. Like beautiful things, it's meant to be seen, reflected, shared. Paul makes the same move in Galatians. He reminds us that we are no longer waiting outside the house, peering through the windows. We are no longer standing in the dark, hoping someone might let us in. We're children of that household. We live inside those lighted rooms. We belong. And because we belong, we grow to resemble the family. Children don't generate household lights, no matter how often they flip them on. They don't power the lamps or wire the fixtures. They simply live in the light, carrying it with them into hallways and corners and places others might not see. Which brings me back to that dark night on those country roads. What a difference the moon would have made. I remember learning as a child something both now pretty obvious, but at the time it was oddly disappointing. The moon doesn't make its own light. All that beauty, all that steady presence in the dark, it's borrowed. It's reflected sunlight bouncing back to us across an impossible distance. But here's the deal. When you're standing outside at night and the path is visible and the world seems less frightening, it doesn't really matter that the light is borrowed. It's enough. It does its job. The moon has been reflecting light faithfully for billions of years, and it has never once apologized for not being the sun, and neither should we. Christians are not asked to be the light. That job is taken fully, eternally, securely. We're asked to reflect that which we have received. Psalm 147 tells us that God's power often looks like quiet maintenance rather than dramatic intervention. He strengthens the bars of your gates, the psalmist said. He blesses your children within you. That's not flashy power. That's not blinding brightness. This is the power that holds things together, the power that heals the brokenhearted, the power that counts the stars and feeds the ravens. It's big cosmos, and yet it's small care, but it's the same God. And that matters because the light returning after the solstice does not erase winter. There are still long nights. There are still mornings when it's hard to get out of bed. There are still stretches of road where the darkness presses close. And faith feels like that too from time to time. The promise of Christ does not mean that the darkness is gone. It means darkness no longer gets the final word. So perhaps the invitation today is a gentle one, to notice where we are seeing just a few more minutes of light, to pay attention to places where we are not being asked to solve or to blaze, but to simply reflect. Our calling is surprisingly modest, really, when you get down to it. We are not asked to light up the whole wide world. We're asked to shine enough for the next step, enough warmth, enough hope, enough grace to let someone else see in the darkness that this world is draped in. To soothe and to reassure a world that keeps repeating over and over, God, it's so dark out there. The days are getting longer now, slowly, almost invisibly, but they are. And so is the work of God among us. Christ has come into the world. The light is already reflecting off of saints and skeptics, off of tired parents and quiet helpers, off people who may not even realize that they are shining, off you and off me. The darkness has not overcome it, not yet, not ever. Christ be our light. Amen.
Amen.